I'm Rob, and this is something that interests me. Today I'm working on a workbench for my bike shop and office space. Plus, it's always good to have a workbench. I've laid out some wood here. I've cut the pre-cut my main table area. I'll cut the legs in a couple minutes. But what I've got laid on the floor here are 4 57-inch pieces of wood, 4 24-inch pieces of wood, 5 15s, and 5 21s. I'm going to lay these out and nail them together. Got it partially set. Now my 21s are going to go right in between here. I'll mark these out in just a minute so that they're even. So this is going to be 60 inches long. That's why I did 57s in the middle and 2 24s on each end. Now I can go ahead and drop these in. Should work out. 12 inches. Which did. Looks like I have an extra one. That's all right. So now these are 12 inches on center, and I can tack those in. Alright, the main deck of the workbench. That's 24 by 60, or 2 feet wide by 5 feet long. For the next one, I'm going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit shorter. Shorter shelf, but the same length of leg, and why that is, that's going to go underneath. Okay, so I figured out what I did wrong, why I ended up with one extra board for the top and the bottom, is the plans that I was looking at, they didn't give the dimensions, but that was for a 6-foot bench. I'm making a 5-foot bench. So I have one extra piece, which that will be alright. I bought enough wood to make the 6 foot, mine being 5 feet. Means I'll have a little extra, so when I put the cut list up and the materials list at the end, I've made that adjustment for you. If you want to do a 6-footer, then you can make your adjustments from there, or even a 4-footer. I've only got space for 5, so that's why I went with the dimensions that I did and ended up with the size that I have. So I just cut my 36-inch legs. I'll add these on, and then we'll put the bottom shelf on, and you'll see how that works. there we have it. This is the rough bench, 36 inches high, not wobbly. So now I'm going to put the shelf underneath here, and you'll see how that goes together. Something I've been trying to do is put the writing that's on the wood so that you can't see it. So I have the best face forward. I know it's a workbench, but I think it would look a little bit tacky if you could read all the words. This was a trick I saw, was use paint cans for this step. Makes it a little bit easier, gives you a solid surface to set everything on, and somewhat auto leveling. Alright, here's the frame. So went in, now you can see, turn it this way, 36 inches high. I'll end up with a 27-inch wide counter when I get done, and then I've got an 18-inch shelf and footrest down below. It's recessed in a little bit so that I can put my stool right here. So the next part that I'm going to do is I do need to make the cuts of the plywood. I'm putting 1/2-inch plywood on the bottom, on the top, and then I'm going to build a shelf for this. So right now I'm going to frame the shelf. Okay, actually going to get to use my workbench in draft form. So what I'm doing right now is making the top shelf. So doing this one a little bit different than we did on the bottom shelf. I've cut my two 60-inch shelf boards and I'm going to use the table here, or the bench, as my jig to start attaching going across here. I have to say, I'm pretty excited. This nail gun that I'm using, I inherited from my father-in-law. It's an older Porter cable framing nailer, and it had a bit of a leak to it. And I was able to purchase the rebuild kit for this model of framing nailer off of Amazon. I think that's where I got it. Either that or it might have been from Power Tool Warehouse. But I rebuilt this, and the thing is working like a champ. Exactly as designed, like it was a brand new nail gun. Alright, so move the bench out of the way. I'm going to install the legs on the top shelf here, similar to how I put that together, but put this together, just dry fit it. You can get an idea of what this is going to look like. I'm going to actually attach this top shelf to the base with screws, because where I need to put it, it's going to be down in the basement, and I've got to carry it down there, so I can't get it down the stairwell, I think, with the top shelf on. But I can do it out here and get an idea of what it's going to look like. that's what it's going to look like. I've got to cut the plywood, but I've got a nice workbench here. Got a shelf down below, a shelf up top, and then pegboard and back. Alright, so I just cut this 5-foot long by 27-inch piece of plywood and put that on the top. So we're going to go ahead and secure this in place with some 1 5/8" drywall screws. Alright, got that surface on. We'll do the shelf down below, similar fashion. There we go. Solid. So now, just need to finish the part that goes on top. And now that the plywood's on, I can dry fit the board that I needed to on this. Okay, got some more cutting done. Got my shelf toppers ready to go. And just need to square these up. And we'll do the same thing that we did down below and screw them down. Alright, now the last thing to do, obviously I will mount these to the top or to the bottom when I get it put in the last place. I did end up cutting 2 pieces of pegboard, and those are going to go right in back there. Will be their final resting spot. Just have to get them to fit in correctly. And I'm not going to do that right now because I want to paint these so there's a little bit of flair on the workbench. But that's my 5-foot workbench with a top shelf, and hopefully somebody can use this. I think this came out, it's certainly solid. It'll be pretty heavy for Monique and I to move, but with the top being screwed on instead of nailed on, it will lighten that up quite a bit and make it easier to maneuver. So if we have to put it someplace else, it should be pretty easy to do. I hope you enjoyed this. This was something that interests me. I hope it interested you.